Someone wrote something that is my deepest fear in life as well. Me too, brother. Let's hug if we ever meet in real life. That's going to be scary that day. I'm assuming, short Indian man comes up. Let it all out, my brother. Are you Gandhi? No, he died a long time ago. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just keep continuing to hug you then, and it's like hugging a peanut. But pretty much, I'm guessing that because his name was one of those like shadadadada. But you know those names that sound like that they're from 1-3 Skidoos back in the day. But he was just asking. He says he felt like a sheep. You know that feeling? He's pretty much just saying that, yeah, he's coming to the realization, and this is what I love about self-help, because there's a lot of people that just never come to this, and they think, I heard something and therefore I'm right. That is the scariest thing that I've noticed about the internet, which is that you pump... I think I really was lucky in just putting out this niche, which was... People didn't really think about they're the same when it comes to the Labor Party, for instance. They had that in their mind. You put out a couple of different talking points that add a little more depth to it, that no, they're not the same at all. The Liberal Party pretends that they're really good at the economy. The stats say that the Labor Party is a lot better. Pretty much anything that you look at, hospitals, environment, everything. Labor Party, better, right? Way, way, way better, world class. That punctures that reality. And so now, when people always talk to me about this as well, when they're in university and they're in their political communications class, whatever wanky thing that they're saying, that you're learning about the Australian Constitution for a bit, and then everyone realises that it's fucking boring, and then you get back to arguing about, is Pauline Hanson more problematic or Bob Katter? But, come on. I've been there. Lecturers were always coming up to me and saying that before, the talking point that came out was, debate time. Now, the talking point is, everyone knows that the Labor Party is better than the Liberal Party. If somebody says that, then you will have the vast majority of the rest of the class looking smug at that person. And that's because of me! But what scares me, and this is why I have such a big, constant vendetta that I'm trying to argue online, and here we go, it'll start again. You look at the comments, and this will, exactly what I'm talking about here, it will get, right? These kind of comments, furious, angry comments, because you've dared puncture the bubble of reality. Let's phrase it like this then, all right? Just to not do that, or at least show you what the mechanism is here. If I say, for example, and this is why I'm always arguing with it on the podcast. If I say, for example, China is, let's just put it this way, has at least done one political thing correct since the CCP took power. One. Even if you say something like that, you will see furious responses in the comments, just saying that maybe it's not the devil like it's being painted in Western media. And if you say that, you will see people coming out with furious comments, and when you look at it, 3 or 4 simple talking points. Now, this is the thing that really angers me about this. It's not so much what I have a problem with is people coming up to a conclusion based off of, you know, like, what I'm trying to say here is, you know that they don't think that for any reason other than very well-funded US State Department think tanks like ASPI in Australia coming up with these research papers that are complete bullshit, that are completely debunked by universities, but they still get circulated around in the press, and then you get those talking points. It's the same thing with, say, Dan Andrews. If you ask people why do they hate Dan Andrews, there will be 2 to 3 responses. That'll be 90% of the reason. And it's the same with China. It's the same with nuclear power. It's the same with fossil fuels, if they are one of the people that watches Sky News, for instance, up until 6 weeks ago where they just hilariously flipped. That's what I'm saying, right? That there is huge multi-billion-dollar enterprises based on getting these talking points into people's heads. And when I notice those, they infuriate me. And it's not so much that they do it because I know that I must be doing it in my own way with certain subjects. But the fact that I'm at least aware that if somebody can offer you a more in-depth explanation as to why that talking point is incorrect, it at least leaves me open to the idea. Whereas when you see most people, they will not accept it because, and I've realized, this really scares me as well, I think it's the laziness of humans. Now, I am fortunate in my job that my job is to constantly just be seeking out things that are real, your red pill moments. Like I've made a job and therefore an identity out of having my mind blown. So I like it when that happens. But then when people just respond with the same response of like, China, that bad, good human rights, like something like that, you know? I got nothing. I've really got nothing at that point. There is nothing to work with because you just know that you cannot dig any deeper than that. They will just keep reverting back to that. And the reason they'll revert back to that is because that was the first thing that entered their head. And as a result of that being planted in there first, people will defend that to the hilt because defending that to the hilt is less mental energy than learning new things. Now I must do the same thing, and now there's going to be a bunch of dickheads in the comments going like, yeah, like you are with Labour. You just don't understand that they're two wings of the same bird. They'll say something like that. Two wings of the same bird. Every time. Because all of these ideas that people have, a lot of the time, like with the Dunning-Kruger effect, they think they're being extremely original when somebody else has just said, this is what you think. You usually say, I don't know, say the Koch brothers or the Murdoch press, their response is, yeah, but I don't read the Murdoch press or I don't read Koch brothers. It doesn't matter about that because those talking points start circulating into other media bubbles, which is why I think the whole idea of like media bubbles is sort of bullshit. But anyway, let's get back to that. Yes, you're a sheep. Yes, I'm a sheep. I do think that that is definitely true and it is just a result. And this is why my new stand-up show actually is really doing my head in because I really feel like I'm writing the Da Vinci Code with the yuck yucks. Well, that sounds awesome. A hilarious Da Vinci Code. Jordan Shanks. Come see Jordan Shanks' show where he just quoted himself saying how fucking awesome it is. But I do think it is. And it is because I've kind of uncovered from just thinking, dwelling, reading a lot about Julius Caesar. He's sort of an Aesop's fable. That's what's happened to him throughout history. He's become an Aesop's fable for the elite class. And what happens is you will see, for instance, this is another one of these ones. You say Julius Caesar, you will have a bunch of those Reddit dickheads just going like, Julius Caesar committed genocide. That'll be their response, right? The point of that is, if you went back to, say, the Victorian era, it wouldn't be that he was committing genocide. It might be something like he lacked morality, he was divorced, he had sex with other people's wives. And you go back to the Enlightenment age and it might be he hated freedom. The point is, Julius Caesar is guilty of whatever is the biggest social sin at that exact time. Isn't that amazing? Throughout the last 2,000 years, every single time morality changed within society, Caesar was guilty of the most heinous crime of the time. What I'm saying is that there are ideas that are pumped into your head and they are for reasons that are very deep-seated. And if you want to know what the reason is for that, you're going to have to come see my show. But the point is that when I've been focusing on that stand-up show for a long time, I've started to really question the values of our time. And you start seeing them in the context of the last 2,000 years and how much those things would have shaped and morphed and how also there's been consistent values that have been pushed on there. And when you start looking at it from this angle, you start to realize why these values have been pushed onto you. So there is a bunch of things that are controlling your life and the way that you see the world and what is unquestionable to you and what is the way that you, it really does scare me. How much of this is legacy from the beginning of civilization, I suppose, to now, which is just this generation thought that, now this generation thinks that, now this generation thinks that, and there's kind of like a bit of a Chinese whispers thing that is happening there, where there is a bunch of unquestioned values and assumptions, and if you dare question them, you are maligned socially. Anyway, this is a long way of saying that yes, that is exactly it, and I really don't have anything else to add to it other than it does freak me out a lot. I really don't know what you can do about that. The only thing that I can say, and something else that I think is like a really helping me to kind of get out of the immediate circle of influence that you find yourself in. You know what I think is great? Anytime you have, and this just helps generally grease the wheels, just if you're like, doing what normal people do. Go to parties and what else do they do? Shoes? Go shoe shopping together? I think I saw that in a Mad About You episode once. What you should be doing immediately is trying to get to as quickly as possible what the other person is interested in. That is a mutual exchange. Because when you are talking about what somebody's interested in, first of all, you've made the situation extremely comfortable, which is the primo position of social interaction. That's where you want to get it, where everything's just fine. Yeah? That makes it fine because that is familiar territory to them. On top of that, because they find it interesting, they have made a lot of distinctions in that field, which means that you get a lot of the general thoughts of that area very quickly pumped into you. That's kind of been the success of my stand-up, I suppose. It's just, and most people stand-up. That's what I like about stand-up. It's because really when you're watching it, you're just watching what someone was thinking for the last year. Do you think that that's interesting? Because I think that's interesting. That's why I just said it was interesting. Don't ask any more about this, all right? That's all I've got about it, okay? I've finished. I'm done with this. I don't want to think about it anymore. It actually does scare me. I actually am feeling quite worried about this because it is something that I think will one day claim my sanity, is thinking about what I know for a fact. And in fact, that is the whole point, is that people do go mad thinking about that. So maybe I think the best thing is to just write it out. Maybe. I don't know. I just think that the best that you can do is just try and find what everybody is an expert in, because you're just puncturing a lot of presuppositions of reality to get there, because they've been focusing on it for a long time and therefore they've made a lot more distinctions. That's something that you can just keep reminding you over and over again, that there are as many ways to look at the world as there are people. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, make sure that you sign up to Jordan Shanks. If you do sign up to Jordan Shanks, you will be getting a lot of information there that I think actually is, like what I'm saying, my version of that. Except for I would argue that mine is the best thing that you can learn. I do, without a hint of irony, think that that is the case. I think that me focusing on how to make me better is best for you. I do think that. It's the basic building blocks of skill. It's all there. Anything that you want to do, you will be able to achieve it with lightning efficiency if you sign up to Jordan Shanks. And it costs less than a cup of coffee and it will get you so much further. That will just get you a job for a few hours and palpitate your heart and make it hard for you to sleep at night. I'll make it hard for you to sleep at night, all right? Because I'm going to rearrange your brain. I will. And that's what a lot of people do say, actually, when they sign up to it. They're kind of just like, my reality. Anyway, that's the last bit. All right, I'll see you around. Like and subscribe.